各位觀眾大家好，歡迎收睇26分鐘見證實錄。溫哥華水上運動中心一直以嚟都係本地游泳界嘅主場，因為佢有住市內唯一一座50米長嘅泳池，承載住無數運動員同市民嘅需求。但係隨住中心嘅重建計劃展開，現有嘅50米標準泳池將唔再保留。咁喺市內泳池數量不足嘅情況之下，呢一項決定將會對公眾以及游泳選手帶嚟啲乜嘢嘅改變呢？
We voted for a 50-meter pool. We didn't vote for reduce or taking pools away from us. We voted for a 50-meter pool. Don't lie to the people. When they ask for something, give them what they want and what they voted for. It's our tax-paying money. It's our vote. Give them what they deserve.
Now that decision was made on staff reports, and I question the staff reports. I also question what is being done at City Hall in terms of funding between the city and the park board. This is not something that should be sacrificed.
Having a high-quality training facility, specifically that's 50 meters long, is a prerequisite for excelling at the world stage. If you're trying to compete against people who are winning Olympic gold medals and breaking world records, having a 50-meter pool is absolutely a must. And by not having one, you're limiting the potential of the swimmers that are in our area.
溫哥華水上活動中心自1974年啟用以嚟，一直係本地游泳界嘅核心場館。當中，館內唯一嘅一座50米長標準泳池，唔單止承辦過無數嘅比賽，亦係專業運動員、青少年泳隊以及市民日常訓練嘅重要場所。對於曾代表加拿大出戰奧運嘅 Brian Johns 嚟講，呢座泳池唔單止見證住佢嘅成長，更係孕育無數優秀泳手嘅搖籃。
For me, the Vancouver Aquatic Centre was a main point of competition for me when I was growing up in 1990, when I was 8 years old, doing provincial and local competitions, and we would swim here 2 or 3 times a year, including at provincials. One of my first provincial championships were here when I was 9 years old, and it was such a critical fixture for us because this is where the best age group swimmers trained. And even though I grew up in Richmond, I trained against some of the best here, and that raised my game. So it's not just about those who swam here, but actually the impact of having this facility being able to raise the ceiling of everybody who swam in the Vancouver area.
佢認為好似列治文 Watermania 依類咁嘅泳池設施嘅誕生，正係協助本地年輕選手踏上奧運舞台嘅重要推手。而溫哥華水上活動中心則一直擔當住精英訓練基地嘅角色。
So my background is I actually grew up in Richmond, so I understand the importance when I was growing up that the Watermania pool was built there during my time as an age group athlete. And that helped propel me to go from being a very good junior athlete onto the Olympic team. As I grew up, I swam at UBC as part of the UBC Dolphins, and within that was a partnership with the clubs that swam here at Vancouver Aquatic Centre. And Vancouver Aquatic Centre was also the host of many competitions that I swam at as a child as well as an older athlete. And Vancouver became really a center point of elite, excellent swimming across Canada, where many national champions and Olympians and world record holders were training in Vancouver. And the environment that having the Vancouver Aquatic Centre here in conjunction with the rest of the facilities here really gave the support to allow us to be the best that we could be at the world stage.
然而，隨住場館設施老化，市府喺2023年初開始討論重建嘅計劃。經過多輪嘅討論同埋社區諮詢，2024年溫哥華公園局表示，重建計劃由於預算嘅限制，無法容納50米泳池，將改為包含一個25米泳池等嘅多用途綜合水上運動中心。消息一出，嚟自各方嘅反對聲音接踵而至。長期關注泳池發展嘅教練 Kelly Taittinger 則指出，而家削減規模唔單止同歷史脈絡背道而馳，亦難以滿足現代訓練嘅需求。
I believe that the 50-meter pool is what this city needs, and at this area, it's been a 50-meter pool that the Canadian Dolphins were instrumental in making sure it became a 50-meter pool, because at the one time it was supposed to be a 25-meter pool, and CDSC went around home to home and put up structures. They used to have the other pool on just down the street, which was a 55-yard pool, so it was even larger than a 50-meter pool. So for over 70 years they've had a 50-meter plus pool in this area. I'm not sure why you would downsize to a 25-meter pool. Most of the people that talked at the Parks Board meetings were in favor of a 50-meter pool.
佢補充，目前溫哥華僅存嘅50米泳池已經難以負荷城市內泳手嘅訓練需求。
There's 1,500 swimmers in Vancouver and 12,000 swimmers in BC that are swimmers. The impact is huge because this is the only 50-meter pool that we could train out of in the city of Vancouver. There is a 50-meter pool at UBC, but there's already 3 major clubs in that pool training. To take away the 50-meter pool, because that's what the Olympic competition is, 50 meters, not 25 meters. So it's like, cutting the dive tower down from the 10-meter tower to a 3-meter diving platform instead of, them being able to practice for what they need to for the Olympics. They're able to do part of it.
而喺3月尾，公園局投票通過25米泳池方案之後嘅週末，反對聲浪亦逐漸凝聚成為一場嘅市民運動。
The big message I want to send is give the people what they voted for. We voted for a 50-meter pool. We didn't vote for reduce or taking pools away from us. We voted for a 50-meter pool. Don't lie to the people. When they ask for something, give them what they want and what they voted for. It's our tax-paying money. It's our vote. Give them what they deserve.
Nadine 認為呢個正係反映住整個規劃從一開始就方向錯誤，應該全面重啟設計，重新回應市民嘅期望。
And then from the city's perspective, the Parks Board has approved the 25-meter pool, but they do not have enough funds for it. They still need to go ask for $30 million to get it done. So the idea is, obviously they're going back to city. City needs to stop this and say, you guys, the Parks Board didn't do the right thing from the start. They have to go back to the drawing board, expand the footprint, and see how they can make a 50-meter and a 25-meter pool fit together in one space.
當日有參與集會嘅前溫哥華市議員 Colleen Hardwick 就直言，削減泳池規模嘅決定唔單止背離市民嘅期望，更暴露出市府內部嘅決策流程漏洞。
In competitive swimming, as opposed to recreational swimming, 50-meter pools are the standard. If you want to swim in the Olympics, you would be training in a 50-meter pool. So Vancouver's 50-meter pool is the Vancouver Aquatic Center, and it needs to be replaced. 25 meters won't do it. It's critical. There are 50-meter pools that are being built in Burnaby, in Surrey, but not in Vancouver. We're losing the one that we have. And that's just not acceptable. It was included in the capital plan and should be reconsidered by council, because I think it's a bad decision based on bad advice at the Park Board.
Hardwick 認為，市府若果能夠正視社區嘅聲音，重新審視泳池重建嘅方案，仍然有機會挽回錯失嘅規劃方向。
Now that decision was made on staff reports, and I question the staff reports. I also question what is being done at City Hall in terms of funding between the city and the Park Board. This is not something that should be sacrificed. And so I think that if City Hall were to get in, City Council were to step in, or there was a plebiscite around this to raise the additional funds that we need, that would be acceptable. But the solution that the Park Board has accepted through their staff report is no, non-starter.
儘管如此，目前溫哥華市議會已經批准咗呢項嘅重建計劃，並將喺2026年啟動建設工作。公園局仍表示，呢項嘅決定並唔代表放棄未來發展更大規模嘅泳池，並承諾會喺未來10年內規劃建設一座新嘅50米水上設施。然而，當溫哥華水上活動中心關閉之後，鄰近女王公園 Hillcrest 水上活動中心將成為僅有嘅替代選項，但現實卻比想像中困難。
To have a pool taken away would would basically devastate our program. Even though Hillcrest, they're talking about being able to access Hillcrest, it's not. It's the ability to have access with full space. We have like 360 swimmers, so at the Parks Board meeting, they've already told us that Hillcrest is to maximum capacity already, so I'm not sure how it's gonna, be able to take on 500 user group swimmers and plus the public that they already have there. We train out of this pool specifically. We have got a small group at Britannia, but we've been, trying to get into other pools, and it's been basically impossible because they say they don't have the rental space, or they don't have, they don't want to rent us a space for competitive swimming because of the public.
對於 Brian 而言，呢一次嘅設計決策之所以引起反彈，除咗功能不足之外，更反映出市府同埋使用者之間嘅溝通機制嘅缺失。
It's no surprise that Vancouver Aquatic Centre is nearing the end of its life, and I think that we showed in actually voting, the voting public showed their support for having a 50-meter pool here, because not just the competitive swimmers, but the community at large understand the importance of having a lap pool that's long, just for the general community, but also for the importance for competitive swimming and for other competitive aspects like triathlon and open water swimming. I was very surprised that they came out with a design that only included a 25-meter lap pool, going against the will of the voters in order to do that, when everybody pretty clearly understood that this is a facility that is needed and desired by the community. And it kind of disregards what our potential is as a community in the water, as well as the will of the voters. And it really shows a disconnect between those who were planning this facility or this facility for the city, as well as there's no connection between those people and the people who are actually living in this pool every day, and the desires of the people that are actually using the 50-meter pool.
Kelly 亦都指出，喺其他加拿大嘅主要城市，早已陸續更新同埋擴建泳池設施，標準泳道嘅數量同埋設計都比溫哥華嚟得完善同埋前瞻。
It's hugely lacking the infrastructure for a training facility. Our national training center is up at UBC, but even then, it's very crowded for them to participate when they have to include public and VPSC and UBC or Thunderbirds and stuff like that. For us to not have a 50-meter pool in the city is basically a catastrophe. Every other pool, every other city in the country has major structures with 50-meter pools. Calgary, Edmonton has the Commonwealth Pool, which was built around the same time as this pool, but they've already redone it, and now it's 10 lanes instead of 8 lanes, plus another 6-lane 50-meter pool and a 8-lane 25-meter dive tank with spectator area.
但 Brian 認為新泳池若試圖滿足所有嘅群體，結果只會顧此失彼。相比之下，國際間已經有成功嘅案例，採取競技同埋休閒分區設施嘅策略，既能照顧精英訓練，亦能夠兼顧大眾使用嘅需求。
When our community is planning, especially aquatic facilities, is that they're trying to be everything to everybody. And so the new facility shows that there's a diving tank, there's a 25-meter pool, there's a rec pool, there's a teaching pool. There's a lot of different little things to try and appease everybody, but in the end, that ends up not being optimal for anybody. Rather than taking the strategy of, okay, we know we need some competitive facilities, so we'll make a competitive pool specifically. We know we need lots of recreational facilities with lazy rivers and teaching pools, so create a different facility that is geared towards that. And this is the type of model that works very well in other parts of the world, but for some reason in Vancouver and in Canada in general, just does not seem to be the way that they want to do it. And I believe that if we built a facility that was geared towards programs, specifically in a 50-meter pool, then you will be able to develop those programs in order to make ends meet on the facility as a whole. But instead, there's been a big aversion to even try, because there's a perceived risk at that, even though this is a model that works in other places.
如果溫哥華水上運動中心嘅50米標準泳池從此絕跡，咁將會對大溫嘅游泳界帶嚟啲乜嘢影響呢？而喺私營泳池逐步滿足公眾需求嘅同時，公營泳池嘅角色又有冇被削弱呢？我哋下一節翻嚟繼續探討。歡迎翻嚟節目時間。隨住溫哥華水上運動中心50米嘅標準泳池可能唔再保留啊，好多市民同運動員都開始尋找其他嘅場地。而私營泳池設施嘅興起，能否真係滿足到呢一項需求呢？
隨住城市人口密度不斷上升，泳池數量卻原地踏步，市民嘅休閒同埋安全需求反而被忽視。嚟自社區嘅聲音就認為，呢個已經係同溫哥華作為濱海城市嘅定位背道而馳。
We need people to have access to water facilities. In Vancouver, we're 100,000 people per pool. Any of the other cities is 20 to 40,000 people per pool. So we are building more high rises. Look at Broadway, look at downtown. We're building more, but we're not giving people more access to recreation facilities and pool space. So we're contradicting of what we want to achieve. We are a city next to the water. People need to be able to swim and have the lifeline for it.
Well, I think what's happened is there's always been a huge demand for swimming lessons since I've been first doing this, but the number of pools hasn't kept up with the population. So there's just more people in the population looking for swimming lessons, and there's just not enough lessons out there to be able to fit them all in.
隨住溫哥華水上活動中心 VAC 重建爭議越演越烈，社區資源無法滿足需求，部分嘅家庭開始轉向私營嘅泳會尋求解決方案。Paddleheads 就係其中一個例子。
It's really hard to find rental pools, so we've had to build our own pools, and it's a huge capital cost, as you can imagine, to build it. But this way we get to completely control the environment and make, something that is really, really perfect for little kids and where everybody feels welcome and comfortable to swim in. So I would say it's primarily demand for us. We just keep growing, and as we just grow, we get more and more registrations from people. People drive to our program, but also people in the local area.
除咗課程設計同埋教學方法，硬件設施嘅舒適同埋安全，同樣係家長最關心嘅因素之一。
The number one thing that people love is the warm water. Other pools have that, but we can consistently have warm water so the kids never get cold and they just feel comfortable so they can focus on the learning. And I would say the second thing would be just the environment, and the nice shallow water is really easy for the kids to learn with, and if you're speaking about the pool itself is just, it's a nice, a certain kind of a pool called the Mirtha pool, which means it's a stainless steel pool with PVC coating on the top of it. So it's really clean and comfortable to be in. And I think that's what appeals, those are the things that appeal to people the most. We are just leasing the space, and then we built the pool ourselves. So we had to pay for this whole pool, and you can see we had to build like a building within a building here because we have to control the air. Out here it just feels like normal air. In there it's actually really super warm, so we have to have a special HVAC system to do it. But yeah, no, it's a multi-million-dollar investment for us to do this, and it takes a lot of time. We have to hire architects and tradespeople and also professionals to do all the services, as well as the construction company and project team to lead the whole process. So it takes a long time and it takes a lot of money, but we do that because we really believe that it will pay off for us because there's so much demand for what we do.
但即使 Paddleheads 等機構不斷嘅擴張，亦無法取代標準泳池對城市嘅長遠價值。Kelly Taitinger 就指出，市府如果唔正視規劃，運市恐怕會失去競技游泳嘅根基。
They have to have some sort of board that has a plan to develop sports, develop pools within the city, make sure that they're maintained and kept care of, and that there's uses of leisure, public and sports groups that can train for competitions. But if you don't have the infrastructure to support that type of thing, then the Canucks will probably move out of the city. So it's the same thing with a high-level swim team, and we have been a high-level swim team, putting people on Olympic teams and world record holders and everything else since 1956.
然而，即使私營泳池如雨後春筍般出現 ，Claudia 亦坦言，咁樣係無法從根本上取代市府嘅角色。泳池建設唔單止涉及成本，更需要政策配合同埋城市規劃嘅遠見。
Yeah, well, ideally the municipalities around the GVRD would be able to build more pool, but in addition to being like hugely costly, it takes a lot of time. So it will happen, but I think it will take a couple of decades before that is really true. But one thing about our pool is, we open up a lot of swimming lesson space, so there will be more space in the public pools. So hopefully that will allow all types of people to be able to take swimming lessons. But I can see over the next, certain number of years, there have to be more pools built. There just have to be, because, we're a water-based society. We live on the coast. We all love to do things that involve the water, and you just don't want your kids out there unless you really feel confident that if they fall in, that they actually know how to save themselves and that they really have some skills to be able to handle themselves in the water.
有前游泳好手亦指，私人嘅設施無法完全取代公營泳池嘅角色。
It is unfortunate. To me, that's a symptom that the city is not doing its due job in order to meet the needs of its community. And so a private company like Pedalheads can come in and say, well, the city's not doing it, so we'll do it for more money. And while there is a need for that, and there's people who are desperate to have swim lessons that are safe and fun and enjoyable, it's at a cost of what is available. So Pedalheads are in the business of getting people in the water, but ultimately to make money. So they're going to be way more expensive than what the city might be able to provide. The city has constantly full lessons programs, and I know this from experience because I have two young kids that have not been able to get into lessons at all at the city. And so I've had to teach them myself because I can't afford to put them in Pedalheads and I can't put them into city lessons. So then you're left with a community who are left on their own to even teach the basic fundamental skills of swimming. And so for me, I think that a private company definitely fits the need, but we have to find a way to bridge the gap so that we're fitting the community's need on making sure that we at least teach people how to swim and then leave the door open for them to be as good as possible in the water.
佢認為加拿大對青少年體育嘅投入不足，先至係真正應該檢視嘅結構性問題。
The lack of investment in the infrastructure just shows a bigger picture sign that our community specifically, and maybe the Canadian community at large, is not willing to invest in this type of commitment into our youth sports, which in turn will result in more of our elite athletes training elsewhere, whether that's in the States or somewhere else. I think that there's lots of places, whether it's in the United States or in Europe, that invest in their communities really well, and rather than being fixated on the exact cost in that moment in time, they understand that the investment of that pool or that amenity is a great benefit to the health of the community, as well as giving the opportunity for programs such as swim clubs to provide programs to the kids so that instead of just playing on the street and doing whatever for at night, they can join a swim club, they can join lifeguarding or whatever it happens to be, so that they have something that they are connected to the community in, rather than just hoping that they are staying out of trouble.
雖然私人游泳會舒緩咗部分嘅壓力，但正如 Brian 所言，真正嘅問題在於城市長年未有足夠投資社區設施，令游泳池嘅供應長期落後於人口增長。
Going forward, we need to make it clear that it's not just enough to replace our facilities, but to actually grow the infrastructure. And it's not enough to just lose one pool and then rebuild it. We actually have to build more than what we have already because our community is growing. And we have to look at this not just this year, but over the next 5-10 years on what our community is going to look like and to make sure that the amenities meet the needs of our community.
好啦，今集嘅節目時間又差唔多啦。咁如果觀眾對我哋嘅節目有啲乜嘢意見嘅話，係好歡迎大家以電郵嘅方式同我哋聯絡㗎。我哋嘅電郵地址係 mag26@fairchildtv.com。咁觀眾如果想重溫今集嘅節目，亦都可以上到去我哋嘅網站3w.fairchildtv.com， 點擊節目重溫一欄就可以睇得返㗎啦。下星期同樣時間再同大家見面，晚安。